The Pittsburgh Steelers currently have one of the best groups of pass rushers the league has ever seen. They lead the NFL in just about every pass rushing stat you could come up with, and if I had the time, I would make an episode on each of their 5 starters. But over the past couple weeks, I took a long look at TJ Watt's tape and came out pretty amazed. Watt is proving to be one of the best edge rushers in the league right now and has been constantly improving since he broke out in 2017. His pass rushing stats, including pressure rate, hurry rate, and quarterback hit rate, have almost exclusively increased over the past 3 years. But as great as the numbers are, they're still not the most impressive thing about him. It's the ways in which he's still getting better. If you've watched any of my videos on pass rushers in the past, you know that to consistently beat offensive linemen, a pass rusher needs to have 3 different reliable moves that he can string together. 1 move for winning to the outside with speed, 1 for winning right up the middle with power, and 1 counter move to win on the inside. Watt's favorite outside speed rush is a cross chop, which you can see here from back in week 1 of last season against New England. The cross chop aims to take advantage of an offensive tackle's punch by chopping it down. So here, just as Patriots right tackle Marcus Cannon is about to make contact with Watt's chest, Watt chops the punch down with his inside hand, but there's much more to this move than just a chop. Watt not only has to chop the punch away, but he also has to flatten his angle to the quarterback. Pay close attention to the angle of Watt's shoulders. Because he's chopping with his inside arm, his shoulders are angled toward the space about 10 yards behind the quarterback. So to flatten that angle, Watt jumps and turns in the air. Then he rips into the pocket with his right arm to neutralize Cannon's second punch. When used by an agile speed rusher like Watt, the cross chop can seem virtually impossible to stop as a tackle without either not punching at all or oversetting to the outside, both of which Watt will punish you for. If you don't punch at all, he'll turn his speed built up during the rush to power and bull rush right into the pocket like he did here against Indianapolis. If you overset to the outside, Watt will fake the cross chop and counterspin back inside for an even easier path to the quarterback, which you can see on this play from week 1 against the Giants. As I said before, this string of moves can seem damn near impossible to stop, but that isn't the case. And as Watt started to make a name for himself around the league, tackles began to figure out how to slow him down. The main way tackles went about slowing Watt down was by using what's known as a bait technique, because they'd bait him into chopping at nothing. I'm going to use this play from week 8 against Miami as an example, and pay close attention to the right tackle Jesse Davis's hands as Watt approaches him. When Davis establishes that Watt is going to try to beat him to the outside, instead of punching to stop Watt's momentum, Davis fakes a punch with his outside arm. When Watt sees that outside arm shoot out, he chops, but Davis takes his arm away before Watt can make contact. This causes Watt to chop at nothing, and the momentum that he put into the chop causes him to lean forward and lose leverage. This happened to Watt many times over the course of the 2019 season. But I chose to use this play as an example because of who he was going up against. Jesse Davis, who allowed a whopping 42 pressures in 2019, was one of the worst starting tackles in the league, so it doesn't take a superstar tackle to execute this technique. As dominant as he could be with this string of pass rush moves, Watt still had room for improvement, and in search of a solution to this problem, he looked to his older brother JJ. If you've watched even the slightest bit of football over the past decade, you know that JJ Watt is one of the best defensive linemen of all time. But he's altered his game late in his career to compensate for getting older. JJ used to be able to rotate all over the defensive line and find his favorite matchup, but recently he's been playing more exclusively on the edge like his younger brother. JJ's favorite move over the past few seasons is called a fake bull rip, which you can see here against Carolina. Watch how JJ approaches the opposing tackle. He directs his shoulders at the quarterback, puts his head down and his arms up, all of which scream bull rush to an offensive tackle. To stop a bull rush, especially from a powerful edge rusher like JJ, tackles need to anchor and counterpunch to stop the pass rusher's momentum. So watch how Taylor Morton reacts to JJ's shoulder angle. He sets his feet, leans forward, and punches, all of which limit his mobility and let JJ rip around the outside for a strip sack. The fake bull rip is extremely effective because it forces tackles to anchor while still giving the pass rusher the ability to win with speed to the outside. JJ then strings this move together with a bull rush and a counter club arm over to keep tackles guessing as to what he's going to do on any given play. Because he shoots his arms up and squares his shoulders while executing each move, it's impossible for a tackle to know which one he's using until it's too late. This string of moves earned JJ a top 3 pressure rate in the 8 games he played last year and is beginning to help TJ as well. Tackles can't use a fake punch against the fake bull rip like they can against a cross chop, which is why TJ has worked relentlessly to add this move to his arsenal over the past couple of seasons. TJ used it here and there prior to 2020 and occasionally did it successfully. But his success with the move was limited and inconsistent because of the flawless technique and speed it requires. Take this play from week 3 of the 2019 season against San Francisco as an example, and pay close attention to the way in which TJ approaches 49ers right tackle Mike McGlinchey, because this snap illustrates how important it is for Watt to direct his shoulders right at the quarterback. Watt closes the gap between himself and McGlinchey vertically instead of at an angle, which lets McGlinchey know that he has no intention of executing a bull rush. If his shoulders were angled toward the quarterback, McGlinchey would have been thinking bull rush, but because they weren't, he was able to overset way outside and stop Watt's momentum to win the rep. Perfecting the angle of his shoulders was the root of Watt's struggle to use this move effectively last season. And he didn't just struggle with selling the bull rush. Making the tackle's punch target disappear was an equally limiting factor. Take a look at this play from week 14 against Arizona, where Watt again failed to win with a fake bull rip. This time, he does a really nice job angling his shoulders to the quarterback, which forces Cardinals tackle Justin Murray to anchor and punch. But the thing that made Watt ultimately lose this rep was the fact that he didn't make Murray's punch target disappear. The angle of Watt's shoulders didn't change through the duration of the play, which allowed Murray to land a solid punch to TJ's chest and prevented him from getting anywhere near the quarterback. If TJ had turned his shoulders more perpendicular to the sideline on time, he would have made Murray's punch target disappear and blown by him for an easy sack. But he didn't, and by the time he tried, it was too late. In 2020, we finally started to see TJ put everything together and use the fake bull rip effectively on a consistent basis. And this play from week 7 against Tennessee is a perfect example. Watt properly angles his shoulders toward the quarterback and puts his hands up, which forces Titans tackle Dennis Kelly to anchor. When Kelly sees Watt's angle and hands, he immediately anchors his feet and punches. But the punch isn't effective because Watt made the target disappear by turning his shoulders vertically. Watt then finishes with a rip, and if Tannehill had held onto the ball for just a tenth of a second longer, Watt probably would have gotten a strip sack. This past couple weeks watching TJ Watt has been some of the most fun I've ever had watching tape. He has such a relentless need to improve his game even when it might not be all that necessary, which makes him one of my absolute favorite players in the league. TJ is already setting the league on fire as the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year, and it's only a matter of time before he starts gunning for his brother's records. That's gonna do it for today's video, but before I go, I just want to thank you guys for your continued support over the past few months. I love making these videos, and that wouldn't be possible without you guys, so I really cannot thank you enough. I've been super busy lately, which is why I haven't uploaded in a while, but I'm hoping to post more as we get closer to the NFL playoffs, so let me know if there's a topic you'd like to see a video on, and I'd be happy to take a look. But that's all I've got for now. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.